morning, happy Friday. Thanks for joining me again on Fine Furniture Friday. Today I want to discuss veneer, which I believe has some negative connotations when we start thinking about fine furniture. I think most people typically associate veneer with cheap quality or lacking durability, and in many cases that is true. So especially if we think about products that typically go on, store-made furniture or mass-produced, it's veneer like this. So if you look kind of closely here, this veneer is like paper thin. It's even rolled up right now like a piece of paper. The project I'm working on right now, my client has this unique pentagonal game table that's going to be made, almost like a poker table. And the border of the table is going to be a pentagon. And because we have all of these like circular logos that correspond to the game, I thought it would be nice to have the field of the table to have a circular element paired with the pentagonal border. So when that starts happening, anytime you have a border to a table that's round in form, or even like this pentagonal, or if it was hexagonal, whatever it would be, if there's a border around the table, the field of the table is going to want to expand and contract. And when we think about wood movement, the more wood there is, the more it's going to expand and contract. So like tabletops, for example, will expand and contract a lot more seasonally than like a small, maybe like little side table that's only 12, 18 inches wide. When you start getting into like 4 feet wide on a table, you really have to start considering wood movement. And in this case, I would not be able to make the table itself out of solid material because it would try to either expand or contract and break itself apart. So I also don't want to make my furniture out of paper, like paper thin material. If it ever gets scratched or dented or dinged, it's impossible to repair without patching it. And what I would prefer is to have my veneer act more like real wood. So the way I do that is to take a solid piece of wood, resaw it down into thinner pieces, but still leave it thick enough that it acts like solid wood. So this is a little cutoff piece of part of that pentagon. This is the correct angle, but it's a nice way to see how I made up the border of this table. And the center of the table is made the same way, but by taking the cherry in this case and milling it down into 1/4 inch thick strips, I then adhere it to the substrate, which is cabinet grade plywood. So all of these layers alternate the grain pattern, reducing the amount of movement. And each one of these layers is about 1/8 of an inch thick, which is nice and solid. But the problem with plywood is the top layer, or the show face of it, is only like a 1/64 or maybe even less of an inch thick. And it's just not thick enough for fine furniture. So in this case, my show face is just as thick as the layers in the middle. So even thicker. So I'm at about 3/16 of an inch. And this layer of wood is now going to act just like solid wood. It's plenty dense and durable enough to kind of beat and bang on. You can scratch it and it can be repaired multiple times. So similar to hardwood floors, if you have experience with that, sometimes they tell you, oh, your floor can't be refinished because it's one of those laminated plank type floors. And the reason being is that that top layer is simply too thin for them to sand down and refinish. So again, when we're thinking about veneer, when it's custom made by a craftsman like myself, who has taken the time to resaw their own veneers and can control the thickness of it, you can actually end up with a product that has more quality than sometimes even solid wood. Because in this case, solid wood would break itself apart. Just take away from this that veneer doesn't mean less quality. all the time. And in some cases it's required, and when it is required, I do it the right way. So if you have a unique project that's going to require something like this, I just want to show you what is possible, and you can arrive at a really high quality piece of furniture with very unique designs this way. So thanks for joining me again. I'll see you again next week.